This is the Ten Tec Titan model 425 legal limit linear amplifier. This amplifier uses two triodes, ceramic triodes, 3CX800A7 from Eimac, and each of those tubes is capable of 1.2 kilowatts output, 1200 watts. So two of them leisurely do the 1.5 kilowatt legal limit that is allowed for the handband. So that's not a problem at all for this amplifier. This particular one is mint, is hardly ever used. I'm the original owner, and I've actually never done anything with it. This is the user manual, Titan 425. It also looks like new, and I got the brochure when I bought it. As you can see, it is a very spacey built amplifier. That's because the power supply is separate power supply, and this is the amplifier is just the box. So it's not very heavy, and you probably know those amplifiers that have that all-in-one power supply and RF deck. Problem with those is that the RF deck is too cramped and you got arcing and all kind of problems. With this you don't have that problem. It's well built, it's roomy and well laid out, and you can put this under your desk and get it out of the way. The interconnect cable between the two is about 6 feet, so you should not have a problem at all to put that under your desk and put the amplifier next to your transceiver like I have it here. Let's turn it on. Oh, here is the on-off button. There is a wait time. It takes a minute for the tubes to reach maximum emission. So the specification for the tube says that you cannot transmit within a minute, and there is a timer in this unit that prevents that from happening. So there is 1 minute wait, and we'll do that. In the meantime, I'll explain you the adjusters. Load and plate, load and tune, they call it tune. Basically, this is mostly impacting the grid current, and this mostly impacts the tuning. Frequency dependent, of course. There is all hand bands. It's kind of nice that this one also has the 10 meter band, so you don't have to do that separate. It can do the work bands. It can do the 12 meters when you're still at 10. It can do the 30 meters, I think, when you're still on 40. And the 70 meter band, I think you can reach that from 15 meter. Probably not the full power, but it should still do a kilowatt there. But you would have to try that. It's a long time ago that I used it. Now, today we'll demonstrate what it's capable of and show you that it works fine. There is standby operate, there is QSK, there is a vacuum relay in there, high-speed vacuum relay, so this is a QSK amplifier. You can also put it on PTT or Vox. Right now I have it connected to the transceiver using a key line. The transceiver has a key out that goes to ground when you transmit. The amplifier has an input that puts it, that flips it, the transmit-receive relay once the input is pulled to ground, so that's all taken care of. Like I said, this is the power supply. There is high voltage and low. Low, I think, is about 1200 volt, high is 2400 volt. And so if you want to run the amplifier at a little bit lower voltage, and let's say below a kilowatt, that would be the thing to do. If you want maximum power, you have to put it at high. The fan has 2 speeds, slow and fast. Even at fast, it's not very noisy, so I recommend to leave it at fast. Obviously the air here should be unobstructed. The air vents should not be blocked, because once you start transmitting, that gets pretty hot here. You know, if you make it to 1.5 kilowatt, that means that almost that same amount goes up in heat, depending on the efficiency. Two triodes, 3CX800A7, are capable of an intermodulation distortion of less than 40 dB. I think it's minus 45 dB, which is one of the best available on the market. It's much better than those Chinese and Russian based amplifiers, Russian tube based amplifiers. You're lucky if you get 35 there. Like I said, this one 4550 is doable, because two of those triodes, 3CX800A7, is about the best you can have for a ham amplifier. Ultra linear and ultra reliable. Alright, so maybe we should show you what it can do. As a driving rig, I'm using my IC9100 on 20 meters. We'll start with low power. The rig can do 100 watts, but the amplifier will reach its full output power at about 60 watts depending on the band. Just a quick look at the inside. Took off the cover for you. As you can see, it's built up very roomy. There is lots of space in this one. Variable capacitors. This one has extra protection against arcing. This is where the vacuum relay is. A kilovac vacuum relay, high-speed relay. That's why it's able to do QSK. That's for most amplifiers, that's an option. VSWR board. These are obviously the tubes. Ceramic triodes. 3CX800A7, two of them in parallel. This is the RF choke. Inductor is this is the heaviest inductor I've ever seen in a tank inductor that I've ever seen in a amplifier. Here is the one for the lower bands. Everything is silver plated. This is the blower. It's like a swirl cage centrifugal blower. There's no dust in it. I'm telling you, this thing has never been used. It's just in perfect shape. Now this is the crowbar. If you turn it on with the case open, it shorts out the HT so you don't get shocked. There's another protection here, a little switch when you take off the cover. So the trick is not to take off the cover when you run it. That's not safe. Very well done. Ceramic switches, wafers, switch wafers. Heavily over dimensioned. Like I said, I don't think you can buy a better RF amplifier than this. It's just a great unit. We have it ready to go. We're basically now in operate mode, QSK. The key line is connected to the transceiver in the back. 20 meters, we're mostly interested in grid current. Grid current needs to be kept in check, that's the most important parameter. There is a grid current limiting circuit in there that will protect the tubes when you make a mistake, but it's better not to let it get to that point. When grid current gets close to the maximum, the overdrive LED is going to kick in, which is a sign for you that you need to adjust the load to limit that. Power obviously is on. The power supply is switched at high voltage, 2500 volts, and we have the blower running fast. The 3CX800A7 tubes have their exhausts here, so you need to be sure that whatever is above here is free space, so that the tubes can vent properly. Right now the air is not very warm because it's only the filaments that are on, but once we tune it up, about 2 kilowatt in heat is going to be dissipated here, 1.5 2 kilowatts depending on the efficiency of the amplifier. So you need to make sure that the vents are open and not obstructed. The radio is connected to the back of the amplifier with the key line. This radio has key out, most radios do, and that goes to ground when you start transmitting. And the input here, same thing. When the input of the key line goes to ground, then the TX-RX relay will switch over and the amplifier will be ready to go. Alright, let's see what it does. Let's see what the amplifier will do. We're going to put the radio in transmit in a minute, and we'll have it in frequency modulation. I just want to have a carrier right now. We start at low power, and let's see what happens. With transmitting, I have a little bit of plate current here, a little bit of grid current. Obviously nothing yet here, so let's go up a bit. As you see, my plate current is going up, my grid current is still low. That's because I had tuned it earlier to the right settings. We're now at 1500 plus according to the bar graph. That's not entirely correct according to the bird. Now we are at 1500 watts. Amplifier can do more. It can do close to 2 kilowatts, but I don't want to overdo it, so let's not go there. As you can see, 1.5 kilowatt from the Titan Ten Tec with 2 tubes 3CX800A7 that are like brand new. This unit has hardly ever been used. I got good hot air coming out now. This amplifier can handle that 1.5 kilowatt key down. It has a capability of a high duty cycle. You don't have to limit yourself. As you see, close to 2 kilowatt. So that's it for the 20 meter band. I can show you on 80 meters. Let's see what it's doing there. As you can see, the amplifier can handle 160 meters, A and B, 80, 75, 40, 20, 15 and 10. It does do the work bands. It actually overlaps to that point. It's nice that this one actually has the 10 meter on the scale, so you don't have to mess around or it says auxiliary or all that stuff. It just says 10 meter and that's it. Let's go back to receive and tune it for 80 meters and see what we get there. We have the amplifier now set for 80 meters. I already adjusted load and tune. I don't have a tripod, so I need both hands when I do that. But I can show you what happens when I vary the settings a bit later. 80 meters, still on grid current here. By the way, there is this is the voltage, the plate voltage. This is forward and reverse. We can switch to that later if you want. We're obviously still on. We're in QSK connected to the key line in the back of the amplifier and the radio. We're at operate. We're at high voltage and we are at fast blower. And let's turn on the radio, the transmitter. We're at 80 meters, as you can see. We're in frequency modulation just for a carrier, and we're at lowest power possible here, so I'm gonna turn it on, which happens now. As you can see, we are at a little bit of plate current, hardly any grid current, and there is hardly anything coming out of the amplifier. That's gonna change when we increase the drive. We're now at well, according to the meter, this is a kilowatt. The bar graph is a little bit optimistic again. By the way, this is, like I said, grid current, voltage. Here you can see forward and reverse. We have good reverse, obviously, with our dummy load. This is getting a little bit more, well, actually quite a lot. So we're going back to grid current because that's the parameter we want to monitor. We don't want that to get in the red area. We're gonna increase power. Grid's still good. We are at exactly a kilowatt now. As you can see, my grid looks good. Now if I do this wrong, you can see grid current is very dependent on load. You do not want to mess that up. So set the load for lowest possible grid current with the power still good. Here we have the peak in the power. Here we have the grid current. So again, grid current is the most important parameter here. You don't want to mess up the tubes. Let's see what we can get. We are at 2 kilowatts. I don't want to go any higher, and the drive is about 90 watts right now. My grid current is still good. Well, let's go back to 1.5 kilowatt. Here we are. And as you can see, works perfect. The Ten Tec Titan linear amplifier. in my opinion, one of the best amplifiers ever made. It has a third order intermodulation, which is in the minus 45 dB range. It's one of the best that's out there. Super linear from two triodes, ceramic triodes, 3CX800A7s from Eimac, of course. No Russian stuff, no Chinese stuff. It's the real thing. Will last you for a lifetime if you treat them properly, and treating them properly means keep that grid current in check. As you can see, you can easily get above 1.5 kilowatts without having to overdo it on the grid current, and you do that by setting the load the load adjuster properly. Always start with low power and then slowly increase it. Never start with high power, because then this will immediately redline and the tubes will suffer. You start with low, you tune it up, you go slowly higher until you have the power level that you want to operate at. That's it, the Ten Tec Titan. Thank you for watching this video.